Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to an impromptu holiday special for Wrestling with Your Thoughts. Unfortunately, Mr. Devon Andrews has had to go to the hospital, so he was unable to make his to challenge Matthew below me tonight for a shot at Jimmy's championship. But unfortunately, the show must go on. Fortunately,
did you say unfortunately?
It's been a long day. Fortunately, the show must
Fortunes are made, fortunes are lost.
We are putting our heads together and we are just going to go through what we thought was great this year, what we didn't like so much this year, what we thought was the best booking, our personal favourite moments, and just say goodbye to 2023. So first off, I'd like to introduce the guests tonight, who are very, very humbly and happily here for me. First off, to my right is Drip King himself, the one and only, the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight Wrestling with Your Thoughts champion himself. It is Jimmy Baby. Jimmy, how are you doing?
Good. Just got back from doing some business. It's good to be here. As always, I'm here for you, Nick. And I know it's not what I planned on doing, but I'll figure it out. I'm good on the road.
That's what we're doing tonight.
On the fly. There you go.
We're going to figure it out.
But I am. I promise you, I'll be good to go.
We'll be figuring it out. Right, guys. And also, below me, we have a pair of co-conspirators all the way from the Raw Ball podcast. We have the captain himself and one of our next contestants on Wrestling with Your Thoughts, Matty Laws. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing quite well. It is cold here in the mountains, but Cap has actually found a new brand of sweatpants that are pretty comfortable. I'm not a big fan of sweatpants, but a buddy turned me on to them, and by God, are these things comfy.
Nice.
And
Manny,
in the real mountains, it's cold up here as well.
Well, yes, I'm at about 2,000 feet. Maddie's at about 5,000 feet. So
I'm closer to 6.5.
Okay. I didn't know Longmont was.
Longmont's pretty.
Well, I know Denver is 5,500. I've been to Red Rocks, which is about 6,500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's good. Was like Jimmy said, I was going to be here to do my, gimmick. I was going to do the booking and everything. Unfortunately, our good friend Devin is in a local medical facility. Hopefully, he gets well soon.
And I was just about to say, with if I were tripping on acid at this point and I were looking at Maddie with the hat and the hair, I would almost think of Wayne's World. It almost looks like a Wayne's World logo from far back. I was thinking two guys sitting on a Davenport in a basement.
Right, gents. So let's just get straight to it. Jimmy, I'm going to come to you first because you're always the most positive person that I know.
Oh, my goodness.
Matty and I have the same answer for this question, but I'm going to come to everybody individually. What's your match of the year?
Oh, man. I just did this. I forgot what it was. My match of the year. It was dang, I'm not ready for that at all.
You're not going to be ready for anything tonight, Jimmy. None of us are. I'm making this up as I go.
What was it? I'm sorry. There was a lot. It was very hard to narrow it down to one because I just did this last week and we were talking about just how many there was.
There's a lot of good matches this year.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and just throw out one of them because again I can't. It was hard to narrow it down, and since I didn't have it in front of me, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Bryan Danielson versus MJF Iron Man match. I just thought it was amazing. It's the best Iron Man match I've ever watched, hands down. It was brutal, but it was a nice story that was being told. It's the reason Bryan Danielson works in AEW so effectively, and it showcased exactly what MJF can do for the people who consistently forget what he could do at that time. Obviously, towards the end of the year, we've seen it a little bit more often, so we don't forget. But at that time, people forgot a lot. So it was nice to see that match, and I just thought it was brilliant. So that was as of now, that was my match of 2023. But again, that answer could change multiple times. There was a lot. There was so many.
Yeah. There are still 13 days in the year.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. There have been so many bangers this year, from the indie scene to the big boys. Yeah, it's been just a phenomenal year for in-ring work. Cap, what would you say was your match of the year?
Well, I'm going to give you two, but I'm going to kind of split this down the middle. My favorite match of the year up until the finish was Cody and Roman. The finish was fucked beyond all imagination.
Yeah, but it was a dusty finish, dude.
It was a dusty finish, but it was a dusty finish at the wrong place and time. I loved the story and the build. It was absolutely perfect until the finish. So I can't go with that as my favorite. But I will side with Jimmy as what I think the match of the year was. It was MJF and Daniel Bryan. However, best Iron Man match of all time. Not even close, but it was the match of the year, in my opinion. The best Iron Man match of all time was Bret and Shawn WrestleMania 12.
I completely disagree. The best Iron Man match of all time is Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle on SmackDown, June 19th, 2003.
That match between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit was an Iron Man match, right? The submission match?
That was a 30-minute one, though.
30-minute. Yeah.
It still counts.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. 60 minutes.
Shut your whore mouth.
Can I add a tidbit to that? The Roman Cody match?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I heard a very interesting theory about this today, and it made me appreciate the match just even more. Everyone was looking at that match as Cody's story. It wasn't Cody's story. That was Roman's story, that match. And when I heard that, it was never something I even thought of until I heard it. And I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because technically it was still Roman's story. And
we were
Cody,
still on Roman's chapter.
Had Roman gone over clean, I would buy that story, Jimmy. Had Roman gone over clean, I would have bought that story. But
yeah, but Kat,
that's not
look
Roman
back
does.
at Roman's reign. He never goes over clean.
He's done it a few times, but
He does it a few times, but the tradition dictates the bloodline always get involved. They might not get involved in the finish, but they'll always be involved in the match.
Just like the Judgment Day.
well,
Either way, you're both wrong.
I was about to say they're both incredibly wrong.
Matty and I are
We
well
have
aware
the
what the match of
correct
the year this was.
I
If
know what
you
y'all
are
going to say. Shut
a
up with
fan
that.
what Matty's going to say.
Technical masterclass.
Jr.
You're damn right. It's the
Exactly,
Dick
my
Harden
friend.
match of the
Bryan
year.
Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. was the match of the year this year. It was a sublime piece of work. The story that was told in that match, which was Zack Sabre Jr. basically saying, "Come on, bollocks, can you keep up with me now?"
I have
and
never been
Bryan,
so
the
erect
entire
during a
step of the
wrestling
way,
match.
going, "Don't think you know every trick, kid. I've still got a few left in me," was the best piece of work I have seen in 30 years. I have never seen a technical masterclass that good since Billy Robinson versus somebody back in the 1970s. That just, it's a might go.
Yeah, no. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the single greatest wrestling match I've ever watched. Like, start to finish, as a pure wrestling match, I have never seen any better. And I don't think I will in this lifetime, if I'm going to be completely honest.
I do have to
I'll have a
ask
rematch.
Nick, without giving away a potential topic later in the show, is there going to be a question about Rookie of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, Best Young Guy?
Yes, we will get to that.
Okay, then I will save what match I would have put third on that list. But go ahead. I will save it for that.
We will get
I
to
have
that.
never been more erect during a wrestling match than I was with Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson.
Is that what we're going by?
In terms of
It's what
this
mine
one,
is going
yes.
by.
If that's the case, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli versus Brandon Cutler and Nakazawa.
John Moxley and everyone
My
who
match of
looks
the year.
like him.
Because there was no match where I was more just, yeah. That was a beautiful match. It was beautiful. Beautiful story. Very underrated.
Moxley
Very,
has
very
pissed me
underrated.
off so much this year that he has eclipsed Kenny Omega. I used to
Why
hate
is
Kenny
Moxley
Omega the
pissed off?
most of anybody in pro wrestling. John Moxley, it's like Kenny, you know,
Cap
it's
just
like-
doesn't get it. That's what
it's
I've
like
come to.
Kenny, you used to be a dipshit, but this other dipshit has come along and done so much dipshittery that,
I'm going to
that
say
you're
something now, Cap, and
you're
you have to
now
promise me that
tolerable.
You're not going to curse. All right? Because I'm letting you smoke, but you still can't swear. All right?
Yeah, no.
John
This
Moxley's
bloody hell.
Terry Funk.
This is the one thing that Cap just doesn't get is
John Moxley is the modern day Terry Funk.
Sami Zayn is.
He
No.
see, he
Sami
gets,
Zayn's
he
the modern
gets
day
the,
Mick Foley.
He gets the
Correct.
Briscoes. He gets
The
the
man,
Briscoes.
Sami
He just
Zayn
doesn't
can
get
get
Moxley.
sympathy from a crowd like no other wrestler, the same way Mick used to be able to. John Moxley's Terry. He's the guy that will work anywhere with anyone, tell a great violent story. He doesn't compete like anybody else in the business. He's got his own very unique style,
Like a Stone Cold
and
Brawler
everybody
style.
respects him. He's Terry.
Just
He-
the evolved version of Terry to fit in today's modern wrestling.
The crazy
Yeah.
old man version
If
of
Terry
Terry.
was around today, he'd be John Moxley.
John Moxley
Think
couldn't
about it,
carry
from the
Terry
way the
Funk's
business has
jockstrap.
changed. No, I'm not saying he's as good as Terry. Don't
He
get me
can't
wrong.
work.
Terry
He
Funk is
can't
an
cut a
amazing man.
promo. He looks like he's the
can
guy
work.
you would call to fix your
Hey,
bleh.
go watch John
Fix your
Moxley
plumbing.
versus Evil Uno. That man can work.
Yes, he can.
Mhm.
Wheeler Yuta. That man can work.
Yeah,
Mox
dude,
can work,
Moxley
bro.
can work. Right,
And he can
doesn't
work with
do- he
literally
chooses
anybody.
He's
not
the
to.
one firing by Vince McMahon in the last 10 years where when Mox was released from WWE and he went to AEW, I was like, okay, finally, we're going to get to see how good this guy is. Because I was a huge John Moxley fan in WWE. I was like, okay, we're going to get to see what this guy can do.
I don't
And
think
then
he
we
was a firing Cap.
And then we saw what little he could do. And I was like, Vince McMahon, I hate to agree with you on anything because you are the most scum-sucking pig on planet Earth. And I think you destroyed pro wrestling. But getting rid of that guy off your roster, good call.
Cap, I think you're wrong on that too, because I'm pretty sure Ambrose's contract ran out.
Yeah,
I don't think he
fired.
got fired.
He just left.
Released.
He goes, I don't want to stay here. He goes, I want to go do what I want to do, and I don't care if anybody likes it. He's the most punk rock wrestler I've ever watched. He literally just does what he wants, how he wants, and he don't give a damn who likes it. I love
Dude's
I
the
think
Sex
they're all-
Pistols.
And he
man.
sucks at everything that he does.
So
So
did the Sex Pistols.
Cap, I think this is another one.
you are going to compare John Moxley to
I'm English. I'm allowed.
to Sid Vicious, to Johnny Rotten. You're going to compare
Because Johnny Rotten was a poser.
God Save the Queen.
That's why he now advertises butter on television.
This will
Wow.
just be another time where Cap just has to accept the
All right.
fact that he's wrong.
Anyway, moving on from what was a hot topic.
Continue.
This year, to go to a sadder note, we unfortunately lost one half of, in my opinion, the greatest brother tag team in the history of the business.
Yes, we
Briscoe.
did.
We lost a
Did
lot
everyone
this
catch
year.
Final Battle the other night?
I did. I was actually doing a live stream of it.
I went back and watched that match today, and again,
Yeah,
not my type of thing, but by God, how
Mark and FTR. I just
Yes.
wanted to say the job that Mark, Briscoe, FTR, and Blackpool Combat Club did was unbelievable. I saw
it was the greatest in-ring eulogy I think I may have ever witnessed.
Yeah, it was such a goodbye for Jay. It was like,
The only thing, other than giving Mark Briscoe his moment to look at the referee with a microphone in hand and go, "Did you bump your head, boy?" Other than that, this match should have been a fight without honor to begin with. Like, there should have been no weird, breakup. There should have been no bell ringing halfway through. From start to finish, this should have been what we would have expected from the match. We got that in the second half. But once I got to that part and they, rang the bell, broke everyone up, called for a no contest, and you had to have Mark Briscoe go, "This is a match for my brother," that it kind of, I didn't like that part.
Well,
Because
let me
we
place an
already knew it was-
addendum.
we
Let me
already
let
knew
me
it was
place
a
an
tribute.
addendum to that. Greatest in-ring eulogy I've seen in this century, because I'm old enough. I can remember Bret Hart and Chris Benoit doing the match for Owen
Owen.
Hart, which was 1999. This one we saw was the best of this century. That was
Sunday.
the one with Bret and Benoit was the best eulogy match I've ever seen, but the one for Jay Briscoe, that was the best eulogy match I've seen this century. Continue.
Jimmy, did you manage to catch the match?
I haven't. I haven't had as much time these last few weeks. It's the holiday season. I'm
If you need,
as much as I would like
In
to.
that case,
if you need to slip into an honor club, let me know.
Jay, I'm going to move on to something that's in your wheelhouse, Jimmy. The Judgment Day. Right.
But before we move on to that, are we going to do like a full eulogy for all the people that we lost this year? Because we did lose quite a few wrestlers throughout.
That's going to come up later.
Okay.
I just wanted to get Jay in there because
It's like the Oscars. We do the eulogy before we start doing best director and best picture.
Right. So the Judgment Day, Jimmy. I think everybody here can attest to the fact that they're probably the best faction in WWE right now.
The most utilized.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I like the way you put it. Yeah.
And I know that's crazy to hear from me because I absolutely love them. I'm a mark for literally everyone in the group, but I don't think they're the best. I think they're the most utilized.
Who would you say is the best then?
I still think the Bloodline's the best.
Okay.
I was going to say Alpha Academy with Tozawa, but okay.
Alpha Academy is probably the most entertaining for sure.
Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt. Right. I have watched wrestling for 37 years. And
I'll be 37 in January. Good God. I'm
yeah.
Whew.
37 years. And I have never seen a faction in WWE that was effectively spearheaded by a woman.
Never.
I don't think I've ever seen one that was spearheaded by a woman in pro wrestling, apart from maybe, and I'm turning the page way back here, Florida Championship Wrestling, when you had woman, Nancy Benoit, whatever her, when she was leading Kevin Sullivan's group. So you're going back 40 years. I am not complaining. I am a Rhea Ripley mark. I love it. I love Judgment Day. So I'm not complaining, but yes, you have to go way, way back for there to be something like this. And that actually works. It's been tried and has failed, but this works because Rhea is, she's mommy. Rhea, love you.
Yeah, Jim. So with the dynamic that Rhea has with the other lads, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this. Do you think she's got enough room to grow within Judgment Day? Or do you think at some point they're going to have to pull the plug and move her off on her own?
I think she's going to move off on her own, and you already know my theory on this. I think that Dom needs to dump her. That turns her babyface. Yeah. It makes people hate Dom even more, and then it sends her off into a whole other stratosphere where she belongs. Because I think for the majority of 2023, she has been the star of Monday Night Raw. There's been plenty of episodes where she was the main feature, the main attraction, and all of that. She's involved with so many people throughout like many, many, many nights. And I think that's kind of like they're testing the waters a little bit with her with Judgment Day, because she can kind of fall back on someone like Finn Balor, and the Dom heat helps. And once she splits from them and she becomes a babyface, you better believe you're going to start seeing her on talk shows. They're going to put her on those. They're going to put her front and center and make her the superstar that she is destined to be. Like, she just screams it. So, yeah, she needs to leave Judgment Day to grow, but she's fine where she's at now. Like, she's
exactly as how you do that breakup. That would be a nice
Liv
booking.
Morgan. He dumps her for Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
Well, fair enough. That would be a fine booking.
And you know what's even better? Liv Morgan just got arrested. He's Dirty Dom. Is the whole gimmick?
They've done time. Yes.
Use it, baby. Use it, because people hate Dom because he's with Rhea. So if he dumped Rhea for another one of the girls that all these internet marks salivate over, they're gonna be like, man, he can't be this damn good, and they're gonna hate him so much more.
Not only that, it also works.
Dominic Mysterio. I hate to interrupt you, Maddie. Dominic Mysterio, and again, I've gone bell to bell with Dave and other people on it. say what you will about Dom Mysterio. This guy is getting up there in level of ability to draw heat like MJF before he turned babyface, which is going to be something I'll address later in the show.
He's still not a babyface.
But well, no, he's acting babyface. Dom Mysterio can draw heat. People hate him, and I hope that Triple H is willing to continue to raise that heat as opposed to what Tony Khan did with MJF, and we're going to turn you babyface. Continue, Maddie.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that, it being Liv that Dom goes to, it, kind of comes full circle with the Liv and Rhea storyline as well.
Exactly.
So it would work perfectly.
Circular, man, it works.
And it'd be crazy to see Liv.
I would have no complaints.
It would be crazy to see Liv take the belt off Rhea.
Yeah.
Mate, for me, other than Rhea, Priest and Finn have been the bed work.
Damian Priest, in my opinion, has been the bed work.
Priest has worked his ass off this year, and so has Finn.
I and my brother feel that Priest also needs to leave that group to grow. But he needs to get away from Judgment Day to become, basically, as my brother would put it, the new Undertaker. Damian Priest, in my opinion, has that level of potential to play a gimmick that would turn him into the guy that is at the same level that Taker was in the company.
Let me raise this particular point. Damian Priest is 41 years old.
Yeah.
Now I'm not knocking Damian's work. I've yet to have a bad thing to say about a Damian Priest match that I've watched. But let's pull the stagecoach back here a little bit. Damian Priest is not Mark Calloway. And nothing he does from today to infinity is going to even remotely put him in that category.
He doesn't have to be. But they need somebody who is in a position in the company that is the Dark Destroyer. They don't have one. They had it with Bray, and they screwed it up. God rest his soul. Right? They can do it with Damian. Plus, WWE have been after a new Latin American superstar for years.
Mm-hmm.
They've got one in.
He can be a superstar, but he ain't gonna be Taker.
Go on, Jim.
I feel like he's kind of reached his ceiling. I think what's going to hold Damian Priest back, I think he needs Judgment Day. He's going to leave Judgment Day. He's going to get the opportunity to prove me wrong because I love it when people prove me wrong. I absolutely love it. Show me that I'm an idiot. I just don't think he has that ability to connect to the audience on a grand level to be what a lot of people think he can be.
Agreed.
I love Damian Priest. I've loved him since NXT. I thought he had something. I never thought he could get to where he's at now. I just liked him as I thought he.
We're not so different, you and I.
I thought he'd be a solid mid-carder, and he's shown me that he can surpass that to an extent, but he hasn't shown me that he can connect with the audience to the point where he can hold your title and be the mainstay on your show. He can't be a Seth Rollins kind of guy.
Did either of you guys, I know Matty did, watch him as Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor?
Not in real time. I've gone back and watched stuff, but not in real time.
Me and Devin got to
that
watch
makes a
that
huge
shit in
difference.
real time.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
His work as Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor is why I compare him to Taker.
Now,
If he was 10 years younger, I would be willing to back him like that. But no, not at this point.
I have one thing that I can add to that might still give him that type of gravitas. You have Dom leave, Priest and Finn lose the belts, and Finn goes off on his own. Keep Rhea and Priest together.
Finn doesn't have many more years left either.
Exactly.
Finn's good for a while.
Finn's a machine.
Finn looks like a grenade.
And the scaled down pace in which WWE wrestles
is good for him.
Extend his career significantly.
Now, if you keep Rhea and Priest together, those are two destroyers that have chosen to stick together because of everybody else leaving. You can still have Rhea be the nightmare, and you can still build Priest to be what Nick wants him to be. And if they're together, you still have that chance of them not losing near as many matches if you're going to keep them heel. Or you can turn them babyface and then just have them run through everybody.
My favorite implement that I have upon my desk is this. This is Damian Priest. The sands are falling through the hourglass rapidly. You cannot back a 41-year-old.
Is 53. Is 50.
Who?
That's Japan.
There's no way Jimmy just said
Japan works a much more physical kind of
style.
WWE has designed for these guys to have longer careers because
Hogan
they don't work
ran till he
nearly
was
as hard.
what, 56?
Before
Sting
Taker
retires in March.
became the streak, before he came, whatever, he already had 10, 12, 15 years of being the guy, the one dude in that company.
The business doesn't work like the way it did back then. You
Bobby
don't
Lashley's
spend
sadly
that many
He's a
years.
freak of nature
The
still.
only thing that can be compared to that back then is the fact there's still a very good chance Vince wants to eliminate Hogan's reign, and that's what he's doing with Roman. And Triple H promised him he'd get it done.
Now, and one argument I have for Cap as well, this is legitimately the best condition Priest has been in his entire career. It looks like he can go
I have
for
no
another
problem
10
with Damian Priest. I love him. But to bill him as the next Undertaker at 41,
years.
Not the next Undertaker, just a person who fills that role for the next few years. He could be there for another 5 years.
He's not the next Undertaker. He just takes the Undertaker's position in the company.
They tried to make Edge that. They tried to give Edge that spot, Cap. And even Edge was like, that doesn't fit me. It fits someone like Priest.
He's got the voice.
I respectfully disagree with every single one of you on this one.
Fair enough, right?
I'm not even saying he could be the next
like
Taker.
us.
I'm against that. I'm not saying he can. I'm just saying the age thing doesn't work because it's not 20 years ago. It's not.
Bring me the dark ass kicker who's going to draw me money for the next 30 years, and then I'll say, okay, maybe I can make this the next Taker.
Watch Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor.
When he had,
I don't need. I'm not needing to be convinced on Damian Priest. I know how good he is.
No,
I love his matches.
With the right booking, that's where he can be.
Not at 41.
Yeah,
you have to
Sweet
understand.
holy mother!
AJ Styles is what, 43?
Hold on, Cap.
And he's been at the tail end of his career for the last 5 years.
People say that, but then he continues to extend it because it's not the same game it used to be.
Cap, you have to understand. We live in an age where pro wrestling fans have the attention of a fucking newt. 30 years is not viable for anybody anymore.
A character cannot last that 30 years.
Because a fan.
Well, it better be, unless it better be, or you're not gonna.
A fan wants 10 years with one person, and then they're done with them.
It's
and then they're going to move on to the next.
They want you to evolve the character. They don't want you to stay stagnant. That's the thing now.
Taker didn't stay stagnant.
We're not saying he did.
No, but we're just using it as an example.
Yes.
You want examples? Randy Orton. The only reason he's over is because of his fucking finisher.
Randy Orton is over because Randy Orton
RKO out of nowhere
is arguably. I would Randy Orton. The longer I've thought about him, the more I've taken his entire career into perspective. The more I've started to think of him in that. Not Mount Rushmore, but Mount Lushmore. But he's in that sort of secondary group of he's not an all-time great, but he's in that category that could challenge for it. Randy Orton has put together a resume that any professional wrestler would cut off both of their testiculars for.
To touch on what Maddie was just saying, though, with Randy Orton. A lot of what I hear from a vast majority of fans is he is one of the most boring wrestlers of all time. He's over because they like the RKO thing. They liked him because he was sinister. It wasn't his wrestling. It was nothing to do with his wrestling. You can give the look. The vast majority of people will say exactly what I'm saying. He's a
and you can even look at majority of star ratings as well because Orton matches don't go high. No matter
Dave
where.
Meltzer can
Not Meltzer,
do
not
certain.
Dave Meltzer.
This is the cage match.
Yeah, cage match.
Cage match ratings
This
9.67 and all
Yeah,
that
I was about to
other
say,
dumb
but,
shit.
But like, if you look at a majority of ratings, it doesn't matter if you look at Meltzer, if you look at
Nick.
cage match.
This is cool.
Orton matches never rank that high, and it's because they fall in the same category as John Cena matches. You are guaranteed a vintage Orton, the stomps, and an RKO.
I would put Orton above John Cena, and it doesn't even take me longer than it takes me to do this.
Right, gents. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I kind of agree with Cap.
What?
Randy Orton ain't boring. I know the majority.
I don't think he's boring.
No, I know you don't think he's boring.
He's boring.
I know the majority of fans. There's a large majority of fans that believe Randy Orton is boring. Randy Orton isn't boring. The word is methodical. Randy Orton is a
bingo.
He is a methodical wrestler that tells stories without wasting motion.
I agree.
And a lot of people don't get that because it's slow. But it needs
span.
to be slow because it's
the attention
mental
spans.
thing. Yeah, as you said. The problem today is, Cap, you have to realize, look at the way young people, because none of us are young people, with the exception of Matty. Look at the way
Matty is
people consume media. Matty, do you watch TV?
I have YouTube as my primary source of entertainment.
Thank you. Short, 10-minute videos.
I don't use TikTok.
I'm just saying TikTok, it's like, what, 2-minute videos, and people are just like, I love it so much. It's short attention spans.
Yeah, short attention spans.
Matty has a better attention span than the average person his age.
And unfortunately, it comes back round to booking styles. You can't do like a 30-year runaround for one guy now.
It just doesn't work that way anymore.
And move on.
Unless you can evolve it.
Unless you can completely like retrofit his character every 3 years, then people are just going to get bored.
Because look, Roman Reigns' gimmick is stale as shit now.
Yep, he stays fresh because he's not on TV much,
and he's brought in people throughout, and the inside story has been interesting. Roman hasn't been that interesting. It's the inside story that's been more interesting.
Well, and to your point, Nick, and to Matty's point, that is the problem. The main problem I think we have arrived at least with WWE and maybe even pro wrestling in general. I grew up in an era where the world champion was on TV every week. Either he was doing a promo or he was wrestling or both.
World champion is on TV every week.
I can't wait to counterpoint this one.
Roman is not in the ring wrestling every week. He may show up on SmackDown the era in which I grew up in, any promotion, whether it be WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, your world champion was your guy. At this point, we are at where promotions are using their world champion, as Nick just said, as a feature attraction. Your world champion should not be a feature attraction that just comes around once in a while to do a promo or to do a match on a pay-per-view, PLE, what have you. Your world champion should be there every single week doing something because he is your guy, the guy you are putting your company behind. And I'm not knocking Roman. I like Roman Reigns. I'm not knocking him at all. But the way WWE is deciding to use him, okay, we're just going to have him, okay, he'll come around and do a PLE every 2-3 months. He'll be on SmackDown, to do a for the love of crying out loud, weeping Jesus on the cross and Mary at his feet. Your world champion, your guy, the guy who is your guy. He needs to be on television every single week because he is the guy you are hitching your wagon to.
Right,
Not
Cap, you've had your
your-
3 minutes on the soapbox. Jimmy, go.
All right, go
Question,
ahead.
But before I go into what I'm saying, real quick question: yes or no? Give me a name. Well, has there anybody who's been a babyface who's treated like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar has been as world champion? No. And to touch on what you were saying, Captain, the key words you said were back when you were loving wrestling. That's how it was done. I want you to name me one sport, one form of multimedia entertainment that people watch that hasn't evolved over the past 30, 40 years. You can't, because everything evolves. You have to evolve things to adapt to the times. The times show that what they're doing with Roman Reigns works, because even when Roman isn't there, the ratings don't drop. People are still tuning in. The shows are still fantastic. And then when he does show up, it's like, oh, Roman's here, and they pop just a little bit, and the product is not affected at all.
Well, the shows are still completely dog shit.
What? No,
And
no,
also,
Whoa.
The
Don't
only
need to get
people-
defensive.
The only people who find it to be a problem or complain about it are the people who are so caught up in what wrestling is as opposed to what it has become. They're stuck
what it
in
should
the
be
old-
versus
No,
what it has
no,
become.
shouldn't be. Wrestling shouldn't be anything. It should be what is. Why would they cater to people who constantly bitch and complain and who don't even tune into the weekly product or go to the shows or spend their
Give
money?
us a reason to
But
tune in.
there are people who are spending their money and tuning in, and they're breaking records on a monthly basis at this point. So why?
How? I don't know. You're not
why would
wrong.
they
How? I
cater
don't
to
know.
People who don't put the money in, it's working for them. So it's just the old.
And
Back
I hate
in
to
my
bring a
day
bit of
thing.
reality into it, but there's an actual reason that Roman's not on TV a lot, which is his leukemia treatments.
Well, I thought he had been.
Roman Reigns is, in my opinion, the hardest working guy they've got because of what he's working through.
Well, I thought he had gotten past.
Dude, when you go into remission, you still need treatment.
Hey, health. Okay, I'm.
Right. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is, look how hard he works when he's there. He's the first guy out on the show.
By him.
Yeah, he's the first guy out on the show. He's the last guy out on the show. He works with anybody they tell him to work with, and everybody he works with comes out the other side looking like gold.
And if you need an example of that, motherfucker worked Logan Paul.
Yep.
Hey, here's a great example. Sami Zayn was not able to do anything for the longest time in WWE. He got latched onto the Roman Reigns thing. He got an opportunity to shine, and now look at him.
He's
on
Sami
the
Zayn
verge
as
of being
over
at
as he
WrestleMania
deserves
winning
to
a world
be.
title because he worked with Roman Reigns. So it works.
Here is the
Roman,
problem.
It works.
Here is the problem with that. I have no problem with long-term storytelling, but when it turns into where you're dragging something out over 3 to 6 months that could be done in a month and a half, 2 months, you lose me. Give it to me. If you just give it to me, I'll tune in. But
Clip
when
that.
you drag
Somebody clip
things out, when you just drag things out, I lose interest. It's the same with me with television shows. Give it to me every single week, because if you don't, if you stop, I'm not going to watch. Give it to me give me a reason to tune in with the main stuff that's going on. Otherwise, you're going to lose me.
Right, well, I'm going to use this to segue to my favorite wrestling subject, CM Punk.
So what?
To CM Punk.
I was about to say, now you're going to have Jimmy and Cap agreeing. What the fuck, Nick?
No.
I'm going to use this as an example. You say you want something to tune into every single week.
Give me a reason.
All right. CM Punk, reason 1. Randy Orton, reason 2. Roman Reigns, reason 3. All guaranteed to be on TV within a 3-month span and alternating weeks, where you'll see them every week on TV.
No alternation, all 3 every week.
The day of the wrestling megastar is dead. They're all superstars now. It's not about building one guy that can carry your company. It's about building a roster that can carry your brand. WWE has
100%
become
agreement.
an absolute machine. The reason WWE will never be knocked off the mountain by anybody, regardless how much successful they are, is because they are a publicly traded brand. WWE is everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter what country you go to, you will probably see a WWE poster somewhere. They're never going to go down, and the formula they use just works. It's always worked. They've changed with the times over the years. Thank God Vince is gone from creative, because Triple H, hands up to him, has done a marvelous job.
Booker of the Year. And I never thought in my wildest dreams I would say that. Triple H, Booker of the Year.
Yeah, I remember arguing with him a lot about that one.
No, completely agree. But anyway,
he still screws up on a weekly basis.
Back to one Bill, Phil. Does anybody else think it's kind of funny that the reason that AEW, nearly said TNA then, and flashbacks, the reason that AEW will be possibly losing their TV rights to WWE is because
they let go of their number one money drawing star
and let him go to the competition. Now, I'm going to go to you first, Matty, because you haven't said much. Right? How impactful do you think Punk's going to be for WWE in comparison to what he was in AEW? And that'll do. Go on.
I've said it on the Raw Ball podcast. It's attention spans that keep fans around. Punk is going to get that spike for maybe until WrestleMania. And then it's going to go stagnant again. Because, after all, WWE does have a very bad problem with booking. They really do. The spike in viewership will go to at least WrestleMania. And after that, you're going to get the casual fans coming back through every now and then. Punk isn't going to shift the needle for more than 4 months. And that is my honest prediction.
Okay. Now, I've told you this, Jimmy, on a show. CM Punk is the last wrestling megastar.
Agreed.
That he's the last of a dying breed of guys that became larger than the business they were in to the fans.
Oh.
He is comparable to Stone Cold Steve Austin in his merch sales. He is comparable to Stone Cold Steve Austin in quite a few ways. I honestly believe that Punk going back to WWE is the most sensible move he could have made. I was really over the moon when he came back in AEW, but he never seemed happy after like the first 2 weeks. He seemed like he was working there and he was doing his best for the fans, but he never seemed comfortable. That's the only way I can put it. He never looked comfortable. He looks very comfortable in a WWE ring.
He hasn't wrestled yet. I mean, he's wrestled house shows, but I haven't seen it.
I don't think he's wrestled a house show yet. I think it starts after Christmas.
He's scheduled, I believe, December 30th or 31st. He's scheduled to do a house show.
I thought he already had his match with Dom Mysterio.
I don't think he's wrestled him yet. I think the house shows start after Christmas holidays. I think
I will check. I will check this.
The 26th at Madison Square Garden, I think, is the first one for the holiday tour.
26. Okay. It was that last week in December.
The SoFi one is on the 29th.
Jim, I'm going to bring this to you because this is going to be interesting. So,
it is the house show on the 30th. He hasn't wrestled yet.
Okay.
Right. Tony Khan's an idiot. We can all agree on that.
What's that?
Tony Khan's an idiot. We can all agree on that.
I plead the fifth.
So you don't get confused. No. This is an English show, sir. We don't have those things over here.
Will I call him an idiot? No. Will I call him an overzealous child that now has a massive toy to play with? Yes.
Okay, so since he put it that way, I'll put it this way. I don't think he knows what he's doing as well as he thinks he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
He's a great matchmaker. Bubba Ray says this perfectly. He's a great matchmaker. He is not a good booker.
He puts together the matches that you would see in a 2K universe mode.
There you go.
And it's because he has the money to.
Yeah.
The reason I think the Continental Classic has been good is because it's just been focused on individual matches.
Yeah.
And a very short story of progressing through a tournament. Where I think the Continental Classic has failed is, unlike the G1 sets up several storylines for the following pay-per-views and several matches every year.
We're
this
seeing
one is setting
a
up
couple ones.
A couple?
I think the G1, not the G1, the Continental Classic is doing a decent job. I think there's some stories going on that are starting to brew that are coming from this. One of them that you see is Danny Garcia, which is about damn time because the kid can wrestle and they've done nothing with him for far too long.
Andrade Miro's one that's come out of this.
Andrade is a person who I feel like finally is starting to feel comfortable in AEW because of this tournament. And then Brody King, the guy you and me were talking about when you were on the show last. I think this has been great for him.
No, I do think it's been really good for Brody.
So I think they're doing a decent job with it.
I don't like that we have people in there with 0 points still.
I think I think it works for Daniel Garcia because it's helping tell the
Jay
story.
Briscoe and Jay Lethal?
Jay Lethal, I've been very adamant, like very vocal about. I think it's a travesty how he gets treated in AEW.
Just to go back one step, my brother's opinion on Mr. Phil Brooks.
He is a cocky mouth punk. I agree 100%. That's why I love him.
Hello, Amanda.
I don't know if that was my cat or do you have a cat, Jim?
I have 3.
Okay.
The
phenomenal AJ Styles.
Anyway, wait. Yeah, so.
Oh, Cap hasn't answered on the.
We've all spoken largely on Punk leaving AEW. We've all spoken largely on Punk coming back to WWE, but we've not all spoken largely what we'd like to be seeing him do post WrestleMania. Jim.
I want a heel Punk versus a babyface Sami Zayn because, in my opinion, there is no better in-ring babyface than Sami Zayn, and there's no better heel in-ring worker than CM Punk when it comes to telling stories. I want that.
There you go, Amanda.
Now.
Yeah, there you go, Amanda. There's my cat.
You're making the same mistake that Tony Khan made, that every other promoter makes. During that whole speech that all 3 of you guys just gave, and you all had valid points, but during that time, I was sketching out, in my opinion, who are the top 7 guys in WWE. Cody Rhodes, getting old. CM Punk, old. Seth Rollins, getting old. Roman Reigns, compromised. Randy Orton, old. LA Knight, too late. AJ Styles, old.
I didn't hear Akira Tozawa in there.
For the love of all that is holy, yes, CM Punk can draw you numbers, but put him where he deserves to be at the top, not just as a.
He doesn't want to be there.
I don't think he deserves the top, but I'll be right back.
To what Nick said, I made this comment about what Nick said. Unfortunately, he'll be treated as a drop in the water. He should be treated as one of the guys. That is the problem. And I cannot wrap my brain around this. Why do you have someone who can draw eyeballs and money like Punk, who will eventually just be another guy? A guy like Cody Rhodes, who is just another guy. A guy like Seth Rollins, who is just another guy. Is it impossible in this day and age for a booker or promoter to say, hey, here are my top 2, 3, 4 guys, and that's who we're going to go with? Everyone else, you're going to have to earn your spot. AJ Styles should have been put out to pasture years ago. Randy Orton, I love you, Randy. Why are you still here? LA Knight, I love you. You're like the DDP of the modern era. But guess what? Your time has passed. You're not going to draw me money for a long time.
He's drawing in so much money right now.
Right now.
Not long term. Not long term. I don't care what you're doing for me right now. Can I bank on you for 10, 12, 20 years?
Yeah, but that's not
Seth Rollins. He is
anymore.
And I love Seth Rollins, but Seth, we know the injury story. We know your back is screwed up. You need to take time off and get yourself healed. We don't want you to wind up in a wheelchair. But guess what? You're 37, 38 years old. Your time is going quick. Cody, I would have loved to have had you here 10 years ago being the American Nightmare. But guess what, dude? You're 38. I can't put my company behind you.
Quick question, Cap. How old was Dusty when he had his last match?
In ECW, that would have been what, 1999, 2000?
No,
God,
that was 2000.
2000.
He had a match in TNA.
Dusty would have been close to 50 at that point, I would think. At least not mid to late 40s. But am I going to put my company behind you? No.
Cap, again, I will say, fans don't have the attention span that they should for pro wrestling. You can't be looking that far out when it comes to one wrestler. Cody has 10 years.
Horse!
If I think Damian Priest has 10 years,
God Almighty, when you're 38, when you're my age, you should be put out to pasture and taken out Old Yeller style.
If I think Damian Priest has 10 years, Cody has 15.
He'll be 50.
Here's some names for you. Dominic Mysterio. He's billed as a top dude. He's one of the features on the show. Rhea Ripley, very young, one of the top features on the show. Braun Breaker, he's on his way. Carmelo Hayes, he's on his way. The Creed brothers, Julius Creed, he's going to be wrestling.
Featured, but not at the very tippity tip top.
Akira Tozawa is 38 years old, damn it.
Sweet mother of God, what more do they need to do? They have earned it. They are your stars. Put them at the top, saddle your wagon behind them, and then take the 5, 6, 7 schmucks from NXT that have a chance and put them and build them up so that when Rhea turns 35, 36, 37, you've already got someone who's maybe 26, 27, somewhere in there that can start to take over. Once you turn 40, Vamonos!
Right.
You gone.
One, that's rather ageist. I'm disappointed in you.
That's rather ageist.
I'm
40.
I'm an old guy, but I'm not going to hitch my wagon and my promotion to someone who I'm going to have to slow them down, have fewer. No, you're either going to work or you're gone.
Dominated the business. There is no longer an extensive talent pool for which Vince can draw stars beyond the indie scene, which is a lot of inexperienced guys that have only got 5, maybe 6 years in the business. Everybody else gets snapped up by either MLW, they get snapped up by AEW, they get snapped up by somebody else. He doesn't have a monopoly on the talent anymore, so he uses NXT to season this talent and get it ready for television, which means they get their reps down in NXT, so when they come up, they're already proven, and as long as the booking goes well, they should succeed in the same way, as long as they have with the same.
You talk about seasoning.
Let me finish. All right. The reason they do this is because there's no territories. There's no marketplace to go shopping for cattle anymore.
What happens when you overcook a stew? What happens when you overcook a piece of meat? What happens when you overseason it? By the time you put it on the plate, it's refuse. It's not worth eating.
Does. They throw it away and they get another one because they have that access.
How many years have we been waiting for Braun Breaker, who isn't all that good in my opinion? Actually,
Braun Breaker's only been in NXT for 2 years, Cap.
2 years,
that's it, dude. 2 years. He's nothing.
And before that, he came
fresh in the business.
He came right out of college.
They can't all be joining The Rock Johnson, who has his first match in front of 50.
And if you look at The Rock, his daughter is now a fucking regulatory fucking character. She's not in the ring. You have to look at this once again as something that goes 5 to 10 years out.
I'm not looking 5 to 10. I'm looking 10, 15, 20.
What's funny
I
about
need you
that,
now. Start drawing me money.
What's funny
Why
about
would they do
that,
when they already have people who are drawing them money and they're just waiting for the next crop of talent to move up, and then they've moved them out, and it's a system.
And all it's going to take is one injury.
Territory.
Charlotte Flair just basically tore her knee to shreds.
Charlotte Flair has also been wrestling for the main roster since 2012.
How old is Charlotte Flair? Like 45? Jesus
I don't think
Christ.
she's that old,
35
but-
maybe.
She is 36, I believe.
36, and she just tore her knee. She's going to be out for a year. She's gone. She's done. I can't use her anymore.
You want to know
They
what's
already
funny?
have a replacement.
Hold on. Cap is saying that.
In the ring, on TV, every week, or you are gone.
Cap, give me just a second.
Does these
Io Sky is 33 years old.
Yeah.
You are over
like
the moon.
Io.
You are over the moon for how good she is in the ring. You're going to stop her in 7 years.
I'm going to stop her in 2. And then I'm going to start to transition her to start bringing
what's
up.
wrong with your view on
Cap's
pro wrestling.
territory has gone out of business.
Yeah, dude.
That is what's wrong with
They
your
have
view on
these
pro
things
wrestling.
called guaranteed contracts now and health insurance.
Not
So
under
you get
Cap's
injured,
administration.
the
You get
company
paid.
looks
You get
after
paid on the
you.
house.
Cap,
You
I
get paid on that.
apologize. I
Nobody's gonna-
apologize.
not
Your business would
1986.
not go. Your business would not last long if you're looking at
No
that.
guaranteed contracts. You get paid on the house you draw.
This
Dude,
isn't
you can do that
1986
on the
anymore.
indie scene. You can't do that in the big dance.
And just to prove the point about the machine thing, Charlotte Flair just went down. She's 37 years old. Okay. You bring in Tiffany Stratton, who literally fills her spot right now. She's 24 and she's good to go for 10, 15 years.
That was amazing.
That's how it works.
Who is Tiffany Stratton? Why haven't I heard about her?
You haven't paid attention to
That's a
NXT.
You don't watch
That's
NXT,
a damn
dude.
shame.
Well,
She's Charlotte
then
Flair, but
Give me a
damn.
reason to tune in to NXT.
They have.
I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3. Tiffany Stratton, Carmelo Hayes, and Trick
Who
Williams.
should have been called to the main roster 2 years ago? That kid is a
He
phenomenal
was there on
talent.
Friday.
And he's
Why
gonna
is
be
he in
there this Friday.
NXT?
He's part of this.
They're transitioning him from NXT to the main roster. They're doing
they're
it in a
seeing
way
if his
that-
shit
No
works.
transition. Either you're dog crap,
Because
or
they
you
do.
are
They
on the
have
roster.
tried
So you
that
think people in NXT
time
are
and
dog
again,
crap?
and it's failed. Where they just dump him in, it doesn't work. They've tried it time and again, and it fails. Because people don't
Karrion
like
Kross.
change. People don't like change. They like everything the
Lars
way
Sullivan.
they like it because this is what they've learned over the past 6-month period. When you take a brand new thing and drop it into, you ever had piranhas?
Piranhas?
Yeah.
No, I've never
Are you
owned
about to tell
piranhas.
me you've owned
Right, when
piranhas?
you drop piranhas, like if you drop a vegetable into a tank full of piranhas,
Yeah, they
won't
eat
swim
it.
around it. No, they won't nip at it. They'll swim at it, they'll watch it, and they'll fall to the thing. But you put 1 drop of blood in that tank, and they'll swarm like zombies. It's the same with wrestling fans. Putting something brand new and fresh and dumping it straight into the shark tank in the main roster doesn't work.
And
Because
that's why LA
Re-educate the fans. Quit
That's
giving
why-
them what they have been given for the last 20 years and
Dude,
start giving
we
them
exist in
how
an
it
age
should
of
be.
Probably
Cap-
the most smart marky wrestling fans on the face of the earth because everyone has Twitter and everyone thinks they have a voice.
Cap, I will apologize on one front. You are speaking for 1/18th of the pro wrestling audience. And that 1/18th
watches NWA.
watches NWA, listens
I would
to
love to
Cornette
watch
on
NWA if they were on
radio.
television, but they're not. They blew that deal with
You
James
would-
Mitchell.
Nobody cares.
You would rather watch something that had Tyrus as champion for almost a year.
You.
No, I don't like Tyrus. He
So,
looks like
but
he looks
what
like a
you're
big
telling me
goof.
is what you're telling me is you're gonna watch something that's recovering from a year of Tyrus over something that has been tried and true and actually works. I'm just again, you are speaking for 1/18th of the wrestling audience, and again, that 1/18th just so happens to be people that believe every word Cornette says.
If I'm starting a wrestling promotion, I'm going to give the fans what they should be getting, not what they want. Because
That's the
if I'm
problem.
starting a promotion,
No, but that's the difference. And that's why Vince made money and nobody else did. Because Vince went, right.
you start listening to the fans,
What if
pretty
I
soon
give
you're going to be
people
sitting
what
with
they
them.
want to see.
Hey, don't listen
But
to
I
the
do
fans.
it in a drip feedy way so they keep coming back.
So before we continue, Cap,
No drip feed, direct main line right into there. Give them every week. Bam, 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 bam.
hold on.
If you can't show up every week, you're gone.
You have 2 hours on national TV. You have to pander to a publicly drawn company. You have
First off, I would never allow my company to be taken
You have
public
to.
ever
You
under
have
any
to.
circumstances.
You have to.
Ever.
You have to.
You're not in the business of making money then.
You
I'm in
have
the
to.
business of pro wrestling, not in the business of whatever.
If you're in
WWE.
the business of pro wrestling, then you're looking at the independent promotions and you're still looking at it the wrong way.
And GCW is the only indie promotion out there that I'm seeing that seems to be doing things right. I
Have you-
catch
have
myself.
Have you seen what Brett Lauderdale has been doing backstage? Have you
Who the
seen
hell is
amount
Brett
of-
Lauderdale?
You don't know.
The guy who owns GCW.
All I can say is when I start looking at, if I'm just on YouTube and I'm just like indie pro wrestling, GCW is the only promotion out there that seems to at least present things properly.
You don't get any
Well,
XPW?
you watch
Shit, that
Progress,
must just
which
be
is
me.
a British promotion that's done it for years now.
I've been a massive fan of Progress, and the way they did independent
Progress,
wrestling
Matthew. Progress.
I'm American. I say Progress.
No, not on my show. You don't. You say Progress.
GCW is
Sorry,
in my,
mate.
is-
Sorry,
is a-
mate. Progress
GCW
Wrestling.
is doing things right from what I see, their presentation, everything. I love what GCW does.
Cap,
WWE. Go ahead.
I need for you, and Nick, if you can help me with this. Progress Wrestling from like chapter 16 to chapter 100. That is, you're going to be watching wrestling for a long time. But
3 names: Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, Walter.
you can
4
keep
names.
going.
Ilya
You can keep
Dragunov.
going. Dragunov, Jimmy.
How
Havoc.
Dragunov is not in the main roster right now for WWE is a crime.
Because
Don't
he
want
is
to be.
because he is the best NXT champion that they can go with right now,
And he
he
doesn't
will
want to.
fizzle out on the main roster. If you don't think
Yeah.
he's not going to fizzle out, he is how much shorter than Walter?
Oh, by a good 7-8 inches.
Exactly. He's not going to get looked at the same way that he would in NXT,
I think.
And how old is Walter? 38.
and he can carry for another 15 years.
Horse
strongly-
hockey.
No, I don't think Walter's even 38. Hang on.
No,
Gun-
he's
Okay, I
almost
got
that
you.
old.
I got you.
I love Walter, Gunther, call him what you will. I love his matches, but here's the problem. Again, you're older than dirt.
36.
You're not going
36.
to be someone I can bank my promotion on.
You can
You've
totally
got-
bank on him for another 15 years. He's
10
36
he
years
could be your
old.
top guy.
Oh, for the love of all that is holy.
Bobby Lashley is
Dude, as I
47
said
years old and still
before,
operates
it's not
in a
about
heavy-
building
in
one
a
guy
heavy-
you can bank your promotion on. It's about building a roster that can carry your brand. And that
What if-
roster has
what if
to
your one
evolve
star
and
gets
change
hurt?
over the
Torn
years.
ACL.
Then I'm going to have another guy.
Perfect
Will you?
example, Charlotte Flair.
With the way
You're
that you're
saying you're gonna
building
put all your
everything,
eggs
you
in one
won't.
basket to carry you for 10, 15 years. You can't do that because when he goes down, maybe he has a career-ending injury. Then what do? You fucked. And again, I apologize. Sorry.
Right. What if
Well-
Charlotte Flair had been the golden goose for WWE? If she'd been pushed
Goose for the
as
longest
the golden goose. If she'd been pushed as the Ric Flair of WWE, of the man, the woman, the
30
the
years,
wrestler
30
in the
plus years.
company. Right? And then this happens.
Torn ACL.
Spaghetti-o. We're in trouble.
When you're a
That's
publicly traded
a
company,
full year
which
without your
WWE
top
are.
star.
you're screwed. Your stocks will plummet.
You have to build a roster. You can't just build
And-
around 1 to 3 people. You have to
Build a roster of people who are ready to step in should number one go down.
Everybody
They
on
have
the
that.
WWE roster
have
is
that.
ready to take that top
They
spot
literally
at any
have
given
that.
moment.
And just to take out the business aspect of
it. You know what?
And my number one is not going to be
someone. Everybody, silence or I'll mute and boot you all. We are going to move on from WWE. I feel like we have taken WWE through the rafters for the last couple of hours, and now we're going to move on to the competition. Or the alternative, as it is supposed
I'll take them through the rafters.
But I think that recently, which I will make my first point and bring it to you, Jim. Do you believe that AEW has an identity crisis right now? Because I do.
Absolutely. They don't know if they are WWE light or if they're an alternative. They don't know. And that's a big problem because you got people. I don't know what's going on backstage. I can only assume, like every other person there that does assume, it seems like there's some people who want to go this way and some people who want to go this way. And then that's causing a problem, which is why you're seeing people who are backstage work, like people who work backstage, leaving because it's just not the environment that it was 2 years ago. That's what it seems like is happening.
Jimmy, I never thought I would say this in my life, but brilliant.
Tony wants to be WCW so fucking bad. It's criminal.
He has the money to put them out of business, and he can't book his way out of a wet paper bag.
Cap, again, that is another thing that I'll argue with you on. You cannot kill a product.
Tony Khan can book matches. He's a good matchmaker. He's a bad booker. Adam Hangman Page should have been the biggest damn babyface in the business through his championship reign. Because Tony doesn't know how to book. Nothing.
Well, also Adam Hangman Page said he doesn't need to learn anything.
That was a while ago.
Nothing. Cody Rhodes should have been the biggest babyface in AEW. But because Tony doesn't know how to book,
can I call a timeout real quick?
Didn't work. Matches were great. Angles were terrible. Matthew.
And I think I'm gonna on like the majority IWC side with this. When I watched Cody Rhodes in AEW, I felt like he was trying to portray a WWE character in a non-WWE company, and it didn't go over as well as it should have because that rivalry with Malachi Black should have revitalized Cody Rhodes as a character, and it didn't.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of other ways that you've looked at it that I totally agree with.
Quick question about that. If you were to take that version of Cody Rhodes and drop him in today's AW product, do you think he works?
Still? Yeah. I don't think
I think
so.
He does because of what because again, they're WWE light it to an extent.
Adam Copeland is just being in the same character he's been since he came back from retirement. Christian Cage is just being the old heel Christian Cage.
A little edgier.
I was about to say Christian Cage has
TNA
been completely
Cage than it
different.
was
I don't know what you're talking about.
Christian's effectively just being himself. Malachi Black is doing the same shtick that Malachi Black has always done, but very effectively being underutilized while he's there.
But the thing with that is that's been his character even when he was on the Indies.
Yeah.
Yes, it's never changed.
I think he
hasn't evolved as a character. We're just very interested in the fact that he kicks really hard.
And he looks cool as hell.
Yes.
Yeah.
He needs a new tailor because he looks like he's wearing a set of the most drawn up boxer briefs on the planet.
Wait till you see that motherfucker in a suit, bro. Oh my god.
He needs a pair of pants. I'm sorry, but if you're that big and that built and you're wearing basically a little bitty tiny beach string bikini, no, you need a pair of pants.
Isn't he 5'10"?
I'll find out.
Malachi, I'm guessing he's somewhere in a PLE or if somebody sends me a match.
I don't remember what I was doing on Saturday.
I watched it this morning just because I have nothing better to do. So I watch wrestling. It's a good way to pass the time. So, Jim, you watch Collision. That whole promo with House of Black and FTR. Now, I thought it was very well done and very well produced, as it usually is. But I was having Ultimate Warrior flashbacks with the general quizzicalness of how it's all about love and you're our family now.
Well, that's all I
don't really see where I get the idea of we're trying to show you tough love through violence, but I don't think that's where they're going.
It's confusing.
Have you got any ideas?
I heard Ultimate Warrior promo and I just checked out. It's like, just, okay, I have no use for you. Not you, Nick. Whoever did that promo.
That was my problem with the promos. I couldn't really just follow it. Like I know they attacked him the week before. I'm not gonna crap on it because again, I didn't watch it the week before. So if I'm not watching on a week-to-week basis, for me to just jump in, hear one thing, be like, "Oh, this is stupid," I need to know backstory and all other stuff for me to give an honest opinion on it. But what I saw was just a bit confusing as to what they were trying to portray there.
There was football on Saturday. I remember. I didn't watch a damn thing of wrestling.
And that brings me to a bit of a point. Tony Khan has, I believe, hit a fulcrum point in AEW.
A hinge point.
A lot of his decisions don't seem to make sense because he's trying to balance two weights of uneven size. Because he's got all these ex-WWE guys that are basically under near enough free reign in AEW that have been taught the way the business works very successfully, and they've made a lot of money by doing it a certain way for a very long period of time. So they want to continue doing things that way. And then you have the other side of the coin, which is all the AEW originals who were brought in and did things another way. And Tony's trying to balance and keep everybody happy. I mean, the easy way to do this will be what Punk was trying to do, which was make Collision WWE light and Dynamite the alternative. I think that was the whole point. But now I think Tony's kind of losing control of the weights. Would anyone disagree?
I would disagree that he was trying to make Collision WWE light. You are incredibly correct in that he is trying to serve all. He's trying to be a slave to all masters. And here is the thing. How did WCW beat Vince McMahon for the 2 years they did beat him? They were the complete opposite. They did everything different. Tony is so beholden to Omega, Bucks, that side of the coin. He's trying to make Jericho, Cage, these other guys, Edge, trying to make all of them happy. You cannot serve two masters. You have to, and in my opinion, I would say forget both sides of them because I don't think either side is going to draw you any money. AEW has a phenomenal talent roster. The talent they have that are not ex-WWE or in the Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, what have you side of things, the talent roster is phenomenal. How you are not drawing money with that alone kills me.
But he is drawing a lot of money.
Not enough. They are projected to lose $34 million this year. $34 million.
To be fair, that number is significantly smaller than it was last year and then the year before that. So they are making the progress. Yeah. I think a lot of that had to do with All In, though.
They also
losing money.
How long have they been a company?
Takes a long time before it starts making money. WCW was losing money for how long before they started making it? So, I mean, that's part of...
Well, Jim Crockett Promotions was making money hand over fist. TBS bought WCW. They lost money for a decade.
Hand over fist back then ain't shit compared to now.
If you do the... what do they call it? The inflation comparisons to what Jim Crockett Promotions was making. It is incredible the amount of money they were making until TBS bought WCW or bought Jim Crockett and turned it into WCW and screwed things up for a decade. Tony Khan should be making money hand over fist, but I don't think the answer is with the original EVP crew, and it's not with the ex-WWE guys. It's not with either one. It's with this phenomenal homegrown talent roster that you've got. The MJF, Swerve Strickland, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, who you've screwed things up with. Guys who could be drawing you great amounts of money if you knew how to book worth a pig taking a shat in a shingle. How Tony Khan cannot make money with just his homegrown roster and be anti-WWE, present everything.
Problem was he wants to be WCW.
Well, here's a newsflash, Tony Khan. WCW went out of business.
I know. And the problem is, when you build a company that becomes an alternative to WWE, a lot of the guys that are unhappy in WWE because they think they have more to give and they're not getting the opportunity to, will look at this shiny new thing over here and go, ooh, this looks interesting. I might go over here. And then the person in that company has to go, well, I need to give you a reason to come over here. So there has to be certain promises and platitudes have to be given. And that happens with every star that you grow. And
if Punk never went to AEW, he wouldn't have went to WWE.
Yep. Agree.
Right now, no. I think he eventually would have.
And AEW had that chance with him to.
Now hold on. Hold that thought. Cap, how old is CM Punk?
CM Punk presently is 45 when he debuted.
So you think that he can carry your company for 20 to 30 years?
When Punk debuted in AEW, he was 41 years old, but he was a clean, sober, straight edge 41 years old with no injuries and 7 years clean off the shelf. He had no injuries. He was a young 41. So you could do things.
Someone who went to the UFC got his ass beat.
Matches, and his matches showed that he could still go.
Hold on. Give me my moment. CM Punk went to the UFC, almost died because he cut weight the wrong way. He got his ass beat quite a bit in the UFC. He then went back to professional wrestling at the age of 41. So you're meaning to tell me that someone who was off the professional wrestling shelf for 7 years, got his ass beat in the UFC, then went to a wrestling promotion at the age of 41, you expect that to even carry your promotion for 5 years?
I give Punk a pass for two reasons. Here is why.
If you're going to say name value, you can cut that one.
No.
The name value actually was legit. I mean, the numbers prove
that. Well, yes, the name value was legit, but here's two reasons. Number one, not been in a professional wrestling ring for 7 years. Number two, we all know, unfortunately, in professional wrestling, a lot of performers have what they refer to as bad habits. Drinking, drugs, painkillers. I'm not even going to go into all those details. We know Punk has none of those types of bad habits.
So hold on.
I told everyone I knew when he came back at 41, 42, okay, yes, he is this age, but he's a lot younger because unlike, I would argue, 75, 80% of the individuals in the business who have those chemical habits, he does not have. He did not have the injuries. So, okay, yes, he's 41, but I can get more out of him at this age. I can get more out of him at 41 than I could at some of these other guys out of 37, 38. There's a lot more tread on these tires than normal.
Cap.
So your reasoning is because you don't have the bad habits of the drinking and all the partying that the wrestlers have. Yes?
You know, the looseness that they get, right?
Because today's rosters don't have those same issues. They're playing video games and just hanging out with each other.
They might be drinking, but there is a lot less substance abuse backstage.
That's why Undertaker said what he said on that Joe Rogan podcast, because he's like, yo, this shit ain't what I grew up in. These are a bunch of pansies. It's like, no, they're not pansies. They're just smarter than you are, Mark, and they're going to be able to wrestle at a higher caliber than Mark did
Now,
for a longer time.
I will also add to that. Yes, Punk has been straight edge, which very much means
he's better than you.
Yes,
and you know it.
He has not had the recovery that some of these medications do provide. The wear and tear that's gone on his body has stuck with his body.
I don't.
7 years minus the UFC thing.
Again, he almost died during that.
Punk. It will when he came back. I'm talking when he came back. Rampage, United Center, and I saw that. Okay, I was like, okay, this is an exception to the rule, as I laid down earlier. We know he has no bad habits. He hasn't been in a ring for 7 years. Yes, he did have the wear and tear, which caused him to leave WWE, but he's had 7 years to recover. I can get more out of this guy at 41 than I could out of most guys at 37, 38. So
By that logic,
I can get
Ric Flair
something
shouldn't
here.
have been drawing a dime for 30, 45 years.
By that logic, yes, but Ric Flair is not human. Ric Flair is a mutant from outer space.
I think most wrestlers are not human.
I do agree with that, Jim.
Yeah.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
Damian
Okay.
Priest and CM Punk, both at 41. Who are you taking to lead you for at least the next 10 years? That's to all.
Drop the name value too, just based on what they can do in the ring
That's
right now.
That's to all three of you.
Wait, did you say Damian
CM Punk.
Priest versus CM Punk? Who's going to lead my company?
Both of them-
Neither one.
But you just wanted him to do it for AEW.
You wanted CM Punk to do it for AEW, and you think he can do it for WWE?
No, for WWE's not going to latch their wagon to him. If I'm AEW 2-3 years ago, and I'm like, okay, I got a shot at CM Punk, I can.
41 years old.
They're not just going to latch their wagon to him. By the looks of it, they're going to hand him NXT's reigns when
Hold on a
Sean's
second.
there.
They did latch their wagon.
If I'm AEW 2-3 years ago, a CM Punk 41, okay, I can get 2 to 4 years of really good production out of this guy if I do things right. If I use him to build up the MJFs, the Ricky Starks, the whom have yous, I can use this to draw money and elevate my next generation of guys. And then by the time he's 44, 45, I can start to transition him out. WWE brought him in as a middle finger to Tony Khan. It's like, hey, we're going to draw more money with this guy in the next 6 months than you drew with him in 2 years. And they'll do it.
They drew quite a bit of money with CM Punk. They made quite a bit of money with CM Punk.
Yeah, a lot of money. You nearly tripled their sales. Anyway, we've already talked about CM Punk. How the hell did we get back on CM Punk, gents?
We just keep
He's
coming
just
back
always
to
in
him.
the news. He's everywhere.
No,
the man's
baby.
omnipresent in wrestling.
I blame Jim's hat and hoodie.
No, you can't blame the merch. Jim is just a fan.
Can't
He's
blame the
allowed to
merch.
be so.
I do love that hoodie, Jimmy. I do have to.
It's
I
beautiful.
wish I had that hoodie.
It was an early.
I'm not a hoodie guy, but if I was a hoodie guy, I would have that hoodie.
So, gents, as this show originally was about booking, I have one simple question for you. What was your favorite angle in this year, both in WWE and out?
Come to me after. I don't want to go first this time.
Okay. I would ask Matty, but he's turned into mist. So, Kat?
My favorite angle the first half of the year was Cody Roman. I was at the Rumble. I was there. I bought not ringside, but floor seats for myself, Matty, and his brother. I was crying on Matty's shoulder when I saw Cody win the Rumble. I thought, finally, for the love of God, a Rhodes is going to win the Rumble, go to WrestleMania, win the World Wrestling Federation Championship, and with Paul, Triple H, whatever, we're finally going to get recompense. We're finally going to get redemption in professional wrestling as far as WWEF is concerned. I was dadgum dog wrong about that one.
I know, we were at Mania, we saw.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah,
amazing.
It was awesome. I was so pissed off. You can see on the vlog on the channel, I was so annoyed.
I was.
I saw
we were doing a live stream, so I could not. I held the reins back on because I wanted to see what they were going to do in the following 6, 8, 9 months. Just I don't like to be completely reactionary. I like to, okay, if they're going to do this, I don't like it, but what are they going to do? Is it going to make up? Are they going to, so I held that back, but at this point, I'm upset that I did. My favorite story of 2023, honestly, is Daniel Bryan. We have a man who is
Bryan Danielson.
Bryan Danielson, Daniel
Weren't
Bryan.
you just shitting on him for firing CM Punk?
I was, but I'm giving him his due. I would kick him in the balls if I ever ran into him.
You ain't getting that far.
I'm pretty tall. I got a big foot, so I could probably.
That man wrestled bears. I will not have you question him.
No.
In any event, that has been my favorite story of this year because, in spite of him being a traitor to the boys, in spite of him even remotely suggesting that CM Punk should be fired, I have loved his run this year. All the guys he's worked with, the phenomenal matches he has put together.
Even Moxley?
Especially Moxley.
The last time I saw him and Moxley was September of 2022. It was the finals of the World Heavyweight
again in about a week.
The World Heavyweight title tournament after Punk was suspended. And I could have strangled Tony Khan with my large bare hands for putting that belt on that piece of Schmidt.
Man. Moxley is
but on the subject of Bryan, you have to realize Bryan has one fatal flaw.
What is that?
Ambition.
You're telling me in a World Heavyweight title match, John Moxley is going to beat Daniel Bryan.
Ambition for himself. He doesn't want to be World Heavyweight Champion. Bryan just wants to make the business better. He honestly couldn't care how he looks or the way he comes across.
I wish he didn't have that opinion, but he does.
But the thing is, if you think that, Cap, you have to agree with the people that Bryan think is worth putting over. The Moxleys, the Yutas, the fucking Jay Whites.
There's a difference between putting people over and putting them over in that spot, but that was a year ago. I'm talking about this year, 2023.
So what you're meaning to tell me is here in a couple of weeks, whenever he faces Moxley, that's not going to be elevated.
If he puts that piece of,
why would he face Moxley?
Are they not in the same block?
They're not in the same league.
Fuck.
Moxley's
Never mind.
gold,
he puts Moxley over again.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
well, I think
my favorite story of 2023 has been
Bryan Moxley final.
Has been Daniel Bryan.
I think so though. I want it to be Jay
putting together phenomenal matches. A close second to that has been Will Ospreay taking arguably his place as the top wrestler on the planet. And as I've said many, many, many times on Raw Ball, I think WWE is going to wind up kicking themselves in the balls years from now for not offering him the money to sign there. Will Ospreay.
I honestly think Will's going to end up in WWE before his career's done anyway.
Will Ospreay is
he's
an
not
absolutely
sit still for too long.
He is an absolute phenomenal talent. Is he my favorite? By no means. But even this old guy who needs glasses can tell that Will Ospreay is arguably the greatest current professional wrestler on the planet, and WWE is going to regret missing out on him. and they are going to miss out on his most prime years. I know he's 30. What is he? 35, 36.
Hold up.
He's somewhere in that category.
30.
He's 30.
So he could go to WWE when I don't know how long his contract is, but let's just say
I'm guessing he signed either a 2 or a 4-year deal.
If it said multi-year, it's more than likely 3 to 5.
Yeah, so somewhere in that category. So let's just say, sake of argument, he's 35 by the time he signs with the Death Star.
The Raiders?
I hope Will Ospreay governs his career accordingly, because that young man, even though I'm not the biggest fan of his style, my God Almighty, is he something phenomenal. Yeah. Maddie is calling an Arn Anderson timeout.
What are your favorite angles of the year, WWE and non-WWE?
But before he gets there, Will Ospreay has been injured 173,246 times since he was 18 years old. That man has been hurt so many times.
Well, he has changed his style, though. He's
put on weight. Has he changed?
He has put on weight. He's learned his lesson.
He's slowed down. He's
dialed it back.
More ground-based
He's
stuff.
definitely dialed it back, especially since he was landing on his fucking neck against Hiromu Takahashi not even 4 years ago.
That's why I started to like him, because he's dialed it back.
Yeah. He's learned how to put on a great match, but not in a way that is going to put him in a wheelchair.
As much as I love Will Ospreay, I think he's got maybe 10 to 15 years left in him. He's not going
Ospreay,
much. He's not going much past his 40s. I genuinely don't think that, because of the.
I would say Ospreay has 5 to 7 years of prime time left. Another 3 years of part time, and then after that, he's going to be phased out.
The pace that Will's cut through his career on the indies. I mean, the day before All In, he was doing an indie show.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Right before he did Wembley.
Is there a pro wrestler on the planet who has logged more jet miles than Will Ospreay over the last?
Hulk Hogan, brother.
Jon Moxley did.
Oh, for crying out loud!
You asked, and I'm telling you, Jon Moxley put in work last year.
Yeah.
In the
Okay, to my cohort in crime, math. Oh, fuck.
Other way.
Reverse the camera.
Other way.
No, Hulk Hogan said he wrestled 400 days in 1 year. That's because Hulk Hogan doesn't quite understand the difference when it comes to the international date line. So, as much as I love Hulk, you're wrong there.
Man, I'm gonna let you know right now. In the last 3 years, there's nobody who's put in more hours into professional wrestling than Jonathan Moxley.
And he had a 3-month break when he was in rehab.
Bro, he was in rehab, came back, and then
not a damn thing he did was worth my time.
Not worth your time, but worth millions of people's time.
Other people's time.
Yes. Cap, you are, again,
I never thought I would say this. Kenny Omega, thank God for you, because if not for you, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, get well soon, brother. Diverticulitis is nothing to be screwed around with. Take care of yourself. But you are such a schmuck. But Jon Moxley is such an abominable schmuck that you have become tolerable.
No, right, that's it. Don't meet you. No more bashing of Jon Moxley. I will
118
on this show. Jon Moxley is a phenomenal wrestler. Jon Moxley has had more matches in 1 year than any WWE wrestler of the last 20 years when he was there as Dean Ambrose. I think he wrestled 2,342 times in 1 year.
Oh my God!
WWE.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, let's talk about his WWE run. That man put in more hours.
That man puts in the work, right? And you have to give respect where respect is due. But anyway, back to the show. Matthew,
I got mine.
Favorite WWE angle?
Oh,
favorite non-WWE angle?
Favorite non-WWE angle. We'll start there. Zack Sabre Jr. calling out Bryan Danielson for an entire year, and me finally getting the match that I've wanted my entire life. I I got the match that I've wanted my entire life, and I've never been happier. My favorite WWE angle. Can I go with Alpha Academy?
Yeah,
Just go with whatever you want.
they've
gonna go.
they've grown. So yeah,
I'm gonna go with the fact that Alpha Academy has taken two people in that shouldn't have been in Alpha Academy and brought them to a bunch of TV time. Chad Gable, without a doubt, and me and Jimmy talked about this last year? The most underrated wrestler in WWE. And he continued to show that this year.
Yep.
Otis
Shadow of a doubt.
Otis has had a breakout year in terms of what he can do in the ring, and I appreciate that, especially in their matches with the Creed brothers.
Yeah.
Bringing in Maxine, who I was really worried about whenever the Maximum Male Models broke up. I was really worried that she was just going to flounder and do nothing. Her attaching herself to Gable and Otis has been fantastic for her. And without Alpha Academy, we wouldn't have gotten the greatest dance in all of professional wrestling with Akira Tozawa.
That's nasty.
That's nasty.
Matthew Laws, you are my little brother.
If you give me the book from now until WrestleMania, I can convincingly give you Akira Tozawa as WWE champion.
Let me just say this.
That's hard work.
Because I love you so much, Matthew, I will be curt. If I were given the book of WWE, all three of them would be fired today.
You can fuck off with that. All three of them can stay with a Gable.
There is not a damn thing I can get out of any of them.
I'm ready.
Go.
Okay, Jimmy, go.
Okay, I have. It's a three-way tie. I'm just going to submit them. I'm not going to take too much time on them.
Go for it.
My WWE ones are the Sami Zayn going into the Elimination Chamber Royal Rumble. Again, I was there like they were for the Royal Rumble. Amanda, if the floors weren't disgusting, she'd been on the ground crying when Sami Zayn.
Those floors were fucking terrible, weren't they, bro?
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. And then going into the Elimination Chamber, the promo he cut before Elimination Chamber, fire, passion had me invested. And again, I take my brain out when I really get invested in something and I watch it with my heart. And I honestly, in my heart, was like, Sami Zayn is going to do it.
Never take your brain out.
No, I always take my brain out because I want to enjoy it. I don't want to be like, oh, And then two is the Chad Gable Gunther one for the exact same reason, because logically I'm like, yes, Gunther is going to beat Chad Gable. But my heart was saying, man, Chad Gable has done enough to convince me he's that guy. And the story they told to get to that last match for now was done perfectly. I still think it's going to happen in WrestleMania. That's me. And that's how good of a job they did with that story. As far as non-WWE goes, I know it's been lengthened out a little bit. Injuries happen, and that's kind of what it is. But the MJF, Adam Cole, Devil stuff has been great to me because it's exactly what I've said AEW needs to do more of. Give me an angle that's going on a week-to-week basis that keeps me invested, and I want to know what's going to happen next. And I don't think they've ever had an angle in AEW that had people this invested as to who's behind that mask.
I do have a point to make about that, about the very last, the tail end of that, Jimmy. Whenever, I'm sure we'll get to that later on in the show at some point, but yes, I do have a firm take on that.
Yeah. So those are my three as far as angles of the year. I think they were all just masterful because again, I'm invested. And I'm like, take this out. I'm going to watch it with this. And I love it. So.
No, I agree. The first time I watch anything, I switch my brain off because your brain gets in the way and it tells you, oh, this shouldn't happen or that shouldn't happen. It doesn't, you can't suspend your disbelief.
Biggest problem with wrestling
the
fans
first time
today.
you watch a match, you turn your brain on the second time you watch a match. Second time you watch a match is when you analyze it, when you break it down, when you work out what they're doing in the ring. The first time you watch a match is when you just shut your brain off and you enjoy it.
As somebody, and I know Jimmy, Nick, Cap, I don't remember if you used to do this. We used to write articles post pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, I don't know if you still do that. Okay. Yeah. I definitely shut my brain off for the first time I watch a match, especially when I'm there live.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
You're there for a good time.
take all of it in as one go. I have to rewatch the match a second time to actually like analyze it and watch it like that. Because pro wrestling is something that you have to be there in the moment for.
You gotta feel it.
It's like Cap even said when we were at the Royal Rumble, when Cody Rhodes won the match, he was emotional about that. Not every
Because
match. Hold on.
booking meant
Hold on.
what it should have been.
Hold on.
That doesn't deface his point.
It does not matter how many of the matches there that you felt that night. If there was 1 to 2 matches that you felt, that pay-per-view was worthwhile.
Yep.
I wish that every pay-per-view could give me matches that I felt the entire way through. However, I am somebody that thoroughly enjoyed Sabre versus Danielson. I want 6 matches that are in my top 10 concurrently.
Yeah. And to go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off again.
No, you're
Jim.
good. I was cutting you off. I apologize.
I'm somebody that wants to see 6 different style masterclasses. I want to see an extreme hardcore match. I want to see a tag team match that delivers. I want to see a one-on-one match that gives me
Agreed.
that gives me that submission, the Sabre Danielson. At the end, I want that spectacle. There have been very few shows this year that have given me all of that. And there are going to be very few shows that continue to give me all of that just because it's hard to fill all of those niches in one show.
And to build upon that, I feel like right here we have 3 very different kinds of wrestling fans.
All 3 of us.
Yes. Me and Nick are pretty similar as far as what we prefer in our wrestling. He likes a few things I don't. I like it, but for the most part, me and him are very similar. And I think a wrestling show that caters to every single one of those people is a great show to me. Because if you cater to one fan, you are going to fail 100%. Because the people who don't like it are going to tune out, and then you've lost those viewers. Case in point, AEW has lost lots of viewers since they first started because they've kind of started to.
WWE has been losing viewers consistently for the last 10 years.
The viewing habits have changed. And I'll give you a point example.
The viewing sources.
Peacock has come out and said that 3 million people are watching WWE content on their app. But if you go to WWE Raw's ratings, it's 1.4. If you go to SmackDown, it's 2.2.
People are tuning in for pay-per-views.
People are tuning in, and they're watching it in a different way. People watch it on YouTube. People watch it on Hulu. People watch it illegally. People are still watching wrestling. If they weren't, WWE wouldn't continue to be breaking records.
What are you talking about? I totally don't do pirate streams.
I'm just saying the math doesn't add up there if they're losing viewers every single week, but they're still making.
They're selling tickets. They're selling merchandise. They're selling subscriptions.
And the Peacock thing, that's not even including the WWE Network across the world. So people are they haven't lost as many viewers as people like to say they have. It's just viewing habits have changed.
Viewing sources. You
cannot go off of the fucking TV rating.
No, I'm not going. I said viewing sources. I'm talking about Peacock, YouTube, where you're getting your wrestling is not how you used to get it.
The option is you consume it whenever you want.
The problem is if pro wrestling wants to compete with NBA, NFL, and get back to that spot where they once were, then they are going to have to put together a product that is mass consumable on network television.
Here's a question for you real quick. You can't answer it, I promise you. I'm Nick Khan, all right? I want you to convince me why I should change to what you want based on our numbers. You can't. You literally can't.
Get a contract with one of the 4 big networks on prime time. And I guarantee you, your numbers will go up.
Deal of all time.
Hold on.
You can't convince me
If
because it's not possible.
we can't
SmackDown for no reason was outdrawing Raw because it was on a network television.
you guys
Yeah.
you
SmackDown was
They got a $2 billion
god
deal with
awful.
SmackDown.
Cap. What are the current consistent YouTube viewers that they get? We cannot look at network ratings anymore because
I
Cap.
know.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Jim.
sorry.
That's where the
Cap,
sponsors are.
hold
That's
on,
where the
Cap,
revenue is.
Hold on. How do we watch our NFL every week?
NFL Red Zone through NFL.com.
How much do we pay?
Between the three of us, we split it down the middle, so that's about $5 a month, roughly.
So $15 total.
Yeah.
You can't get cable for that much.
No, I'm talking network broadcast, which you can get
exactly.
with a $10 antenna, which you can get on
as somebody
basically
who's bought,
anywhere.
and as somebody who's bought an antenna and could not get the channels that I wanted to for it, this is a more consistent and current way of getting my shit.
Then put your broadcast live as it happens on YouTube. Put it live as it happens on the Peacock.
Most things do. And what is
WWE
NFL
doesn't. AEW doesn't. They don't have a streaming service.
Hold on. In so many pies, it doesn't really matter. They have a YouTube revenue. They have millions of dollars.
If AEW or WWE had a live stream of their product.
Just hang on a second. They did. It was called AEW Dark. And it got no viewers at all.
No, I'm talking about Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, where I can just click a subscription service and bam, I can watch it live in real time.
How do they get their pay-per-views sold? They have a free hour of professional wrestling that they try to get out before the pay-per-view.
And over here we do.
And I bought one AEW pay-per-view in my entire life, and it was because it was CM Punk and MJF in a dog collar match.
That's because you look at name value alone.
I look at what is going to be a good match versus the 4 or 5 hours of
Jimmy. Can you look up the rest of that card for me real quick? The CM Punk.
Please do.
I will. I'll just point out a very
AEW Revolution 2022.
You're not a fan of present day wrestling. That's why you don't watch the current product. That's all it is.
Exactly. I wish present day wrestling would take a lesson from what pro wrestling should be.
Let's cater to the smaller audience instead of the audience that's tuning in. And
what pro wrestling was, not what it should be.
Yeah, let's stop giving people what they want. Let's start giving them what they're going to get. And if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But let's not bastardize.
Jim Cornette would kill professional wrestling today.
That's the craziest business decision I've ever heard in my life. If they come, they don't. If they come, they come. They don't, screw them. I'll just go out of business. That's crazy.
But I'm not going to bastardize the product simply for a bunch of marks.
I'll stop. Nick, what's next?
Right, Jets. Sorry, I tuned out then. I was reading a message from my sister. I just thought I'd let you cook.
Yeah, you're good. Right. You're good, man.
Oh, we were cooking.
Right. Where were we?
We're next.
Oh, yes. Next? I was going to get up to my favorite part of the show because I'm going to get to watch Jimmy swoon. We're getting up to the point where we go, who is the most developed?
Oh, this ain't even
and improved wrestler of 2023. And I'm going to make you wait, Jim. I'm going to let Matty go first.
Whose house?
Swerve's house.
I'm going Swerve Strickland. He has gone the Will Ospreay route of I'm going to put on about 50 pounds and I'm going to go in there with the heavyweights and prove my mettle. And Swerve Strickland has given me more than 5 matches that have impressed me throughout this year. Two of them were tag team matches, but the other 3, Swerve getting his fucking blood drank by Hangman Page in a Texas death match was insane.
Awesome. It was crazy.
Great match, atrocious opponent.
No. You just shut the fuck up.
No. His time. You get yours in a minute, Cap. Hang on. I'm trying to keep this segment clear because we're running out of time and I want to get some more stuff in.
Oh, it's Swerve. With what he's proven since he's left WWE, Swerve Strickland is without a doubt my most improved wrestler of the year.
Who's next, Nick?
But it's you, Jim.
All right,
Go for it.
I'll just put it this way: bada bing, bada boom. You already know who it is in the room. They ain't nobody. I can make a case that Dominic Mysterio is the wrestler of the year that is stronger than any case that can be made against Dominic Mysterio not being the most improved wrestler of the year.
He doesn't have that title anymore.
It doesn't matter, baby. It belongs to Dominic Mysterio. You know it. He was robbed. Dominic Mysterio has been a huge focal point of the show the entire year. He's been in there with the biggest names in WWE, and not once has he felt out of place. He's been part of a fantastic angle with Rey Mysterio going into the WrestleMania. His moment at the Royal Rumble where he came out with his daddy's mask being like, yeah, I took his ass out. And I'm amazing. He has not missed one bit. And if we go back just a year and a half ago, everybody was saying that kid needs to go down to NXT or they need to get rid of him. And now he is literally one of their biggest and absolute most promising stars over the next 15, 20 years, like Cap keeps talking about. There is nobody.
You know all you need to know about Dominic Mysterio? He had Randy Orton's first match back in the company in 18 months.
He's CM Punk's
and
first
he's having
match.
CM Punk's first opponent. That's how much they trust Dom.
They clearly trust Dom.
Nobody was getting heat on a more consistent basis at a higher caliber than Dominic Mysterio this year. He is part of the best, arguably the best faction of the year. He's part of the best acts in all of wrestling with Mommy. That there's nothing the kid hasn't done. And on top of that, if you go to his in-ring work, it hasn't been fantastic going up until about halfway through the year. Go back and watch his match with Sami Zayn on Raw. His matches with Dragon Lee. The kid's got it. He is going to be main eventing multiple WrestleManias. There's nobody who's improved more than Dominic Mysterio.
Jimmy, I don't want to cut in too much. You gave me 2 matches. Give me 3 more for Dom Mysterio.
He had like 3 with Dragon Lee. I'm not saying his matches have been fantastic. And with yours, I'll say Swerve Strickland has probably been the breakthrough person of the year. Because I said when he got released, he would be AEW's top 3.
We discussed that on Positive. Remember when I was on your show, Positive, about a year ago?
Yeah.
We were talking about if we were putting together an AEW tournament. You and I were both talking about Swerve. One of them
would be a top 3 signing all time for them. And I'm so glad that they let him go because he's been able to flourish. And I'm done. Dominic Mysterio, the most improved. I don't want to hear nothing.
Nick, I'll honestly be quick. I can't disagree with either of my colleagues here. Swerve to Maddie's point and Dom to Jimmy's point. Those were, I mean, you can see my notes here as I'm keeping through the show. Dom and Swerve were the 2 names that I wrote down as being my guys, and my colleagues made the point as good or better than I possibly could. I will throw 2 other names out there that I hope to see get more features in 2024. One is Nick Wayne. Love me some Nick Wayne. I hope El Vikingo gets signed to a legitimate major North American promotion so that he can take what he does. Yes, Cap, who is the old fucker in the room who hates the flippy floppy. I like El Vikingo. I hope he gets signed to a legitimate North American promotion and can start doing his stuff. But Swerve, Dom, my colleagues made my point for me. I can't disagree with either thing either gentleman said.
2 honorable mentions: Masha Slamovich and Ninja Mac. I know he hasn't been as prominent in the last couple of months, but Ninja Mac.
Well, I'm going to randomly throw a name that nobody's mentioned this year, and I think she deserves it, which is Rhea Ripley.
Oh, okay.
Rhea was already there.
No, you go back 12 months, 2 years, Rhea Ripley was not already there. No. They hadn't figured her out. They hadn't got that hook yet for Rhea. They'd been dangling a rod in the water, but there was no bait. Now they got the bait. and they've got it. And Rhea has really, really come along.
I saw Jimmy
Right.
holding up.
I will
She's
not
gone from
I will
gone
not
from
disagree
like a
with
7
anything for
to
Rhea
a 12.
Ripley. I love Rhea. She's my mommy. I love Rhea. Any praise on Rhea? 8. I love me some Rhea.
Okay, my two extra names, because I feel like women haven't really got enough shine on this, is Tiffany Stratton and Julia Hart. Both have progressed phenomenally this year.
One more honorable
And both
mention,
young,
Athena.
both very young.
Also, that was going to go to my next bit of comment. The subject of belt slaps.
Okay,
I just found out that Tony
10
Khan
seconds,
just
10
introduced-
seconds, 10 seconds, Nick. One professional wrestler of the last year who I had no clue who the hell they were, but now I absolutely love them and want to see them succeed. Tony Storm. My God, that woman is phenomenal.
Yes, she is. All right. There are
Beyond
too
the
many
movie.
championships in professional wrestling. Would we all agree?
There's what?
Too many championships.
Oh,
in
sure.
professional
Oh, yes.
wrestling. Would we all agree? And
75% too
Tony Khan
many.
has just introduced another world championship to AEW/Ring of Honor in the Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship.
It's because they don't want to take the belt off Athena. But I agree, Athena is fantastic.
She should be on AEW
Yeah.
TV.
Agreed.
She should also be an AEW TV. Don't you think it's a bit of a platitude creating a television title for a product that doesn't have a TV deal?
It's crazy because they did have a TV deal and he turned it down because he wanted to be
Yeah.
loyal to Warner Brothers. What?
Mhm.
Which he's
Idiot.
going
They're
to
gonna-
lose.
And they're
if-
going to drop him like a bad habit for WWE if it keeps going.
I'll
this way.
believe that when I see it, but I think it's absolutely crazy that he turned down a CW TV deal because of. I think that was crazy. Ring of Honor should be on TV. That's crazy to me.
Well, okay, so CW, okay, originally it was going to be NWA, and then James Mitchell snorted a kilo of blow, and now NXT has the CW deal.
Yeah.
SmackDown is going to USA. Raw is going to be going to WBD because they know they will get more. They're going to draw higher numbers
There's
with
a
that
good
than
chance
AEW.
Fox still want WWE programming.
However, again, as Jimmy and I were talking about, in this era of streaming, which I love, I love streaming. It's phenomenal. It works for me better now than it ever did at any point in my life. What if, I'm throwing out a what if here. What if HBO, who has a lot of dinero, were to purchase the network and AEW and have them both streaming on the Max? That would be a win for everybody. HBO gets the two biggest wrestling promotions on the planet. The two biggest wrestling promotions on the planet get on with HBO. I think that's a win-win for everybody.
The contract, it depends on when the contract is up for the network, because just because they leave, just because
I think it's 2025. Don't quote me, but I believe it's 2025 is when the Peacock thing ends. So you may get a lag there, but if you somehow, I'm thinking if I'm HBO
2026
and I can at 2020, 2026. I'm thinking if I'm HBO, the Max, and I can get AEW and WWE, the two biggest North American wrestling promotions, the two biggest wrestling promotions on the planet, all on my streaming service. Take WWE's Peacock numbers, take AEW's TV numbers, probably multiplied by a factor of at least 3 to 5, roughly. Let's call it 4, just to meet in the middle. That's a huge amount of eyeballs.
Yeah, but it's still entirely hypothetical, unfortunately.
It is a hypothetical, but to pull that deal off, I would drop my Cock subscription in a heartbeat. Well, actually, no, because I would miss Sunday Night Football. But I would pick up HBO Max because, okay, I've got WWE, I've got AEW, I've got The Sopranos, I've got Chernobyl. I've got whatever else Max is going on.
AEW will not be on the same thing.
No, not a chance.
Well,
anyway, right, gents, we are fast running out of time, and I just want to get one more question in before we go. And I'm sorry, Jim, it's not a positive question; it's a negative question. You told me what your favorite moments of the year were, least favorite WWE, and least favorite general professional wrestling moments, please.
I got you. WWE, Cody and Brock, that whole saga was just stupid. I don't understand what they were doing with it. I don't even know why it was happening. It was terrible. It was dumb. And thankfully, it didn't kill Cody's momentum. Thankfully, he was able to survive it. AEW, I just hate that they lost momentum. I feel like they started picking up momentum again going into All In, and then it was all lost. And they've just been kind of cruising and on cruise control since then. There's been moments that are good, but for the most part, it's been kind of just, if I miss it, I miss it. And I don't feel like I miss anything if I don't watch it. And I think that sucks. That's been my worst moment this year.
Okay. Batty?
I'm going to go with a general one to start, and it's going to be the losses that we've had throughout the year. Jay Briscoe, Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt. We've had quite a few names that we could put in the legends category go this year, and that's a rough one.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt and Terry for me especially.
To go in the same week essentially, like that was
back days.
I think it was back-to-back days.
It was pretty close.
But if I'm going to go with just a straight WWE one, I might catch some flack for it. It's dragging the bloodline out as long as they have.
No, it's a fair point. It can be argued that it's well, not every book is written for everybody. Unfortunately,
that's something I stress.
Not every book is written for everybody, and this book has about 300 chapters, and I think they're on about chapter 225.
We are reading the grapes of wrath right now.
It's but as I say, not every book is for everybody. Cap, worst moments of the year.
Cody not going over Roman at WrestleMania. And I'm going to go a double duel on number 2 for AEW. Number 1, firing CM Punk with no cause. And the big point I was wanting to make, the devil in AEW, I wrote this line out while we were doing this about an hour ago. Who is the devil? And who at this point gives a flying who?
Well, on that point, it's just the Black Scorpion storyline.
Yeah, and Ole Anderson screwed that one up back in 1990, and Tony Khan is screwing up this one. This devil thing, which could have been done in 2 months, has been dragged out to 6, and at this point, I could give a hoo-ha. 3-4 months ago, yeah, I was interested. Now, I could care less. It doesn't matter to me.
Right, gentlemen, and last but not least, final thoughts on 2023. Jimmy?
Phenomenal.
Matthew?
Are we talking the year as a whole or just professional wrestling?
Professional wrestling.
Oh, I have absolutely loved all the professional wrestling I've gotten this year. I got my dream match. So, yes, I'm very happy with this year.
Cap?
Could have been a phenomenal year, but turned out to be just a ho-hum year. I hope that in 2024 they get.
You didn't watch enough wrestling.
It was a good year that could have been a great year, but it just turned out to be a ho-hum year. Hopefully in 2024 they'll get the booking right and give us a great year of professional wrestling as opposed to what we got in 2023.
Well, I completely disagree. Because as far as I can see from everything I watched this year, as far as match quality goes, we've had a better year than we've seen in about a decade. Danielson Okada, Danielson Sabre Jr., Kenny versus Will, both matches. Hangman versus Danielson. which even though I don't like Adam Page, Jesus Christ, he pulled his weight in that match.
He usually
Swerve
does.
versus Hangman, Moxley versus Bryan. All of these matches that have been it's been a smorgasbord this year of talent. And to see a lot of guys go from here up to here from their ring work. Go on, Jim.
I forgot to even mention it, and I hate myself for it. Orange Cassidy's title run, the first one, was
for crying out, Orange, go.
phenomenal. And I want to say, I think it was me and
right.
you talking last year, Nick. We said 2022 was like one of the best years we'd seen, and it was going to be hard to top. And I think 2023 topped it. There,
I do agree there.
I agree. I completely agree. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time when I give my guests a chance to plug what they want to plug. So, Raw Ball boys, off you go.
Well, we've got the Raw Ball podcast tomorrow night. We have the first in our series of interviews with David Holland starting Thursday night, where we will be doing a deep dive on greatest bands of all time. This Thursday night will be part 1 of our Kiss episode, followed shortly by deep dives on Black Sabbath and Frank Zappa. I will be conducting those interviews. Thank you, Dave Holland, for giving your old student a chance to do this. We have Crew Day. We have, I'm guessing, Maddie doing Greg Cherry, and also Raw Ball goes Red Zone for the next 3 weeks of the NFL season. Raw Ball is firing on all cylinders right now.
Not to mention,
thank God I have a nice, comfy bed so I can get some sleep to be prepared for it.
Not to mention, we've also got pay-per-view and PLE watch-alongs with every member of Crew Day, myself, sometimes Cap, depending on the show. It's going to be a busy, 3 months for us?
Yeah, we're building to the Super Bowl and to WrestleMania, which are our 2 big events of the year.
All right, Jimmy, plug away.
Right here, right below me, the podcast. Just follow that on the Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We just started doing the week-long Praise-a-thon. We pick a wrestler, we give them, we share their top moments, all that other stuff. So if you're into a more positive aspect of the social media app, go ahead and follow it. Very, very, what's the word? I've already lost my words. I've used all my words. Interact a lot with people. So if you want interaction, you want to talk about fun stuff, positive stuff, and not the dirt sheet nonsense and just shitting on everything, follow that, interact with us. We will interact back. The Drip King of Wrestling is the YouTube channel. We're going to be rebranding it in the beginning of the year. We're going to change it to the Positively Awesome Wrestling. And we do that show every Sunday, except for right now, because we are on hiatus. It's the holidays. We're taking the time off. But we will be doing some shorts that coincide with our week-long Praise-a-thons. This week's is Bailey. Last week we did Swerve Strickland, and the week before that we did Finn Balor. So again, we switch it up. We have guests on. They pick for us, and when they aren't there, we pick them ourselves. But nothing but positive vibes that I'm trying to give out. So if that's your thing, follow it. Let's get it going, and that's what it is.
And may I once again, from our last time together, Jimmy Bebe, congratulations on your victory in our last meeting. Thank you for always being a worthy, respectable, and admirable opponent. I look forward to working with you anytime that we possibly can. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you, my friend.
Cap, are we going live on Saturday or on Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday for Raw Ball Goes Red Zone.
It is Christmas Eve. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, I'm taking Friday off, Saturday off, Sunday off, Monday off.
Cool.
Cap's gonna be good and liquored up this weekend. I will be good and ready.
Cool. I will be there for Sunday as well. Devin will not, but me, Cap, I don't know if Davey will be there.
Hey, if it's Maddie and Cappy, then hey, we got a show.
Nice. Well, that was the show, ladies and gentlemen. It was a throw together last minute thing. I want to thank all of you guys for helping me out tonight. You've really done me a favor. I've been Nick the Geek. I'm from the Wrestling Legion. Please subscribe to the channel and join the Legion. It really helps us out. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm knows we exist. and it's free. So what more do you need? So
Nick, thank you. Thank you once again for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to work with you. You're my brother across the ocean, my friend. Thanks for having me on. Anytime I can be of assistance. Anytime. Always.
All right. So that's it. And always remember, I am just one geek, obsessed with a good show, and my opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. So please let me know what you thought. Enjoy the show. See you next Christmas. Me and the rest of the Legion will be back after Christmas, but obviously be very busy at this time of year. See you soon.
Just enjoy wrestling.
Stay safe, stay healthy.